Hey friends, welcome back to the Disney Magical Mindset Podcast. My name is Ruben, your Disney Magic mentor, your friend, your pal, in your corner, wanting to spread some Disney magic, some pixie dust for your day. And today I'm so excited because this is part 3 of our Dangerously Consistent Like Walt Disney series. In part 1, we talked about the power of starting with why. In part 2, we tackled planning to fail. And today, we're wrapping it all up with something that can change everything. Please hear me. This can change everything about the way you pursue your dreams, your goals, ambitions. Here it is. Learning how to fall in love with the process. Because here's the truth, the magical truth. If you fall in love with just the goal, every day you don't hit that goal feels like failure. And we talked about failure last week. But if you fall in love with the process, this is so key. The daily steps, the routine, the little wins, the consistent grind, right? You'll build momentum that carries you all the way to your happily ever after. So are you ready for it to wrap up this series? 'Cause here we go. All right, let's get real. Most people, please lean into this one because we're wrapping it up. And so we've got to get this third part because it completes this being dangerously consistent. And here is the absolute realness truth I'm about to drop right now. Most people, and we're talking about the process here, fall in love with the process. Most people are obsessed with the finish line. Okay? We want to get to the end. Of course, everything in us wants that finish line. We see it, right? And we want to get to the end because in our minds, getting to the end is the goal. Getting to the end and finishing the race and winning the race and getting to the other side is the way that we've been kind of trained, right? It's the mindset that we've learned since we were kids. Like you got to win, you got to get to the end, you got to get to the finish line. And this is how we usually process these dreams and goals. We want the dream. We want the end. We want the magic kingdom without laying one brick. People want the castle without picking up the hammer. But when I think of Walt Disney, I firmly believe that this man, this dreamer, loved the process. I know he had to love sketching ideas. He loved playing with models and testing and then failing and trying again. I know he loved communicating, talking with his Imagineers and telling them stories and acting out the different scenes from attractions. I know how much he loved Tom Sawyer Island. And this is just a beautiful reminder of how special Tom Sawyer Island is at Disneyland. Because I know, sadly, it's no longer in Walt Disney World, but at Disneyland, it's one of my favorite places because it's the only place in all of Disneyland, the only attraction that is everything Walt Disney. Like Walt is the one who drew it up and told his Imagineers, this is how I want Tom Sawyer Island to be. You know, he had his Imagineers who came to him with this idea and he scratched it. He said, nope, this is what I want, traced it, put it together and said, here, please, let's make this happen. And of course, we have it today. Yes, it's changed, and certain things maybe not there like it used to be, but I still love going to Tom Sawyer Island. I'm saying all that to say that Walt loved the process, loved what it required to get to the Disneyland, to get to the Tom Sawyer Island. It is this reality of why we get to experience what we do in Disneyland today, in the happiest place on earth, because of this process, falling in love with the process. Think about this. Consistency isn't an event, which is what I think we may believe sometimes. It is a process. It's the process. And this is where a lot of people, we lose a lot of people. They fall off the road, right? They give up. They don't continue because we've not learned how to fall in love with the process. We've got to remember, friends, you've got to remember that consistency isn't an event. It's a process. Remember, again, it's the brick by brick. It's the ride by a ride, the land by land. Walt didn't wake up one morning and say, poof. He didn't call the fairy godmother and say, sing the song that we all love and wave the magic wand and just hope that it's going to happen. No. He built it dangerously consistently. He knew that in order for him to build, think about this, Disneyland in 1 year from start to finish, there was no way that you could not fall in love with the process because every day required the intentionality to get to opening day. Opening day. And you've got to build your dream, your goal the same way. It's got to be the same way. You have to fall in love with the process. So here's what I need you to understand. I want you to embrace this because this is the game changer. This will change the way that you approach your dreams and goals and the things that you desire to accomplish in life. Here it is. Here's the magical life lesson. If you want your dreams to succeed, if you want your goals to succeed, if you want your ambitions to succeed, don't just fall in love with the finish line. You have to fall in love with the race. Woo-hoo. Yeah. And I know because if you're like me, I want the finish line. I want it yesterday. I want to be there already. We have these things that we can see, these visions that we have this preferred future that we want so badly, and we want to be there, and we want to get there like yesterday. You know what I'm talking about? And so it is easy to get lost sometimes in just being so consumed with the finish line that we actually forget that the only way you get to the finish line is by falling in love with the race, by enjoying the race, by embracing the race, by just loving the race, because there's so much beauty that happens in the race. And sometimes we're so consumed with trying to get to the finish line and trying to get to the end that we miss out on all the great, amazing moments that happen in between, that happen in the race. You have to fall in love with the race because it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. And the ones who cross the finish line, guess who they are? They're the ones who've trained. They've built endurance and they stayed consistent when no one was cheering for them, when no one was applauding them, when no one was telling them, you can do it. Because remember, you have to be your biggest cheerleader. You have to be the one to cheer yourself on. No one's going to come and take, that remote from you or your phone from you. No one's going to come and tell you to turn off the TV. You have to be this one. You have to be the one, the chosen one, right? You've got to be the one to do this, because if you're waiting for people to be there to cheer you on, you might be waiting forever. Now, again, I'm going to be here to support you, and I will be one of those on the sidelines. And we're going to talk about how we need some of those folks in our lives, but we can't be dependent on the applause, because sometimes you'll hear it and sometimes you won't. And you can't base your future, your dreams on waiting for someone to help you try to get there when you've got to be the one to say, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do what I need to do today by falling in love with the process. It starts right there. And guess what? Disney magic works the same way. The daily grind, sometimes the late nights or waking up early, the redos, the rejections. Yep. That's where the magic brews. That's where the magic stirs. This is the magic. You are the magic. I keep saying it because the magic is in you. You are the one that produces the pixie dust. I'm here to help sprinkle some, but you are the one, right? To make this happen. That's the part that people don't see. And that's often the part sometimes that can be tough because no one can see the stuff that you're doing behind the scenes to get there. Because, and never forget this, we always see people's highlight reels. We see the finish line. So we look at somebody and we're like, man, look at how amazing it is, because we see them at the finish line, but we don't see everything they did or all that it took in the race to get there. So we just see the person that's at the end, the one that's standing at the castle, right? The one that is showing us their highlight reels. That's all we see, but we don't see all the hard work, the blood, the sweat, the tears that got them to that point. So please, I know it can be lonely sometimes, and it feels like maybe people don't see, but I want you to continue to hold on and hang in there and just understand that your castle is coming, that you can see the finish line. That's the exciting part, but you have to continue to hang in there and stay in that race, falling in love with the race. Keep it going. All right. You can do this. I believe in you with all my heart. And I'm not just saying that. I believe in you because I'm living it myself. Like, I'm doing it myself. So a lot of times what I'm sharing with you is like, I'm also living through this experience together, which is why I love these moments that we get to share like this. So when you and me fall in love with the process, when we wake up and we're excited to get it going, whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you're striving to become better as a result of working towards that goal or that dream, whatever it is, when you fall in love with that process and you know, because sometimes, again, the race is not supposed to be easy, right? The finish line is the easy part because you're there now and you're living in that joy of your dream come true. So yeah, it's awesome. But the race isn't supposed to be easy. The race is where you're going to get knocked down, but remember, you're going to get back up. The race is where you're going to be sweating. The race is where your bones are going to be hurting and your legs are going to, you feel like giving out on you. That's all for what makes the finish line that much more special. But it's those who get up and are like, yeah, today's an awesome day. I get to work towards this goal today and I'm going to fall in love with it. I'm going to enjoy it because I promise you, you do that. And guess what happens? You'll look back one day and realize, wow, you've built your own happiest place on earth. And I am so excited for you and so happy for you to see this come true. All right? Here's something practical I want to challenge you with. I know you probably are familiar with a to-do list. Some of you can't live without it. Some of you need a to-do list. You got to write things down. I know for me, I've got to write it down or I will forget. So a to-do list is important. However, here's the pivot I want you and me to make. I want to challenge you with, I want to encourage you with. Don't just focus on your to-do list. I want you to focus and zero in on a do not list. All right, we got the to-do list. We've been doing that forever. I need you to create a do not list. Do not list. And here's why. Because falling in love with the process, with the race, is going to mean setting boundaries. All right? Just like when you're running the race, there are certain boundaries you've got to stay within in order to complete the race. And what I've learned, that if you're going to complete the race and get to the finish line, sometimes you have to say no now so you can say yes later. You have to remember that every time you say yes to something, guess what you're doing? You're saying no to something else. And every time you're saying no to something, you're saying yes to something else. Yes to your goals. Yes to your dreams, because you said no to staying up so late that you don't get good rest and wake up, early in the morning or whatever. I'm just trying to give some boundaries. When you say no to, let's say, going out, I don't know, on the weekend because you're going to say yes to your goals or your dreams, and let's say that dream is you're preparing to launch your own podcast. So you're going to spend the weekends to say, hey, for the time being, I know I can go out, but I'm gonna say no right now, because right now I'm saying yes to learning how to podcast, or learning how to set up a podcast, or doing what I need to do, on those weekend nights so that I can get to that goal of launching the podcast. Or maybe you're saying, I will not open social media before 9 a.m. so I can focus on my dream first. Or maybe you're saying, I'm not going to follow those accounts that drain my joy. I don't know who those be accounts are, but I'm not going to follow accounts that don't bring me joy. Or maybe the boundary you need for your mental and emotional health is to take one day a week and just disconnect and just detach so you can recharge. Disconnect from social media, disconnect from whatever it is that drains your life. You take a day to just disconnect and see what that does for you. All I'm saying is that your non-negotiables protect your process and peace. And it's so important because in order to get to the finish line, you're going to need to have some boundaries in place. They keep you focused, healthy, and moving forward. So I want to encourage you today to find your do not list. What is your do not list? What are your non-negotiables? What is it that you're going to write? And you got to write it down too, because that's part of the process, to write it down so you see it, and maybe you got to read it every day so that you stay in line and you keep on moving forward and you have these boundaries and non-negotiables in place, because you're so close. You got to just keep going, my friends. Here's the last piece I want to share with you about falling in love with the process. The reality is, you can't do this alone. I can't do this alone. Even Walt Disney, he didn't do this alone. His Magic Kingdom, he didn't create it all by himself. Yes, he was a dreamer. He was he was the dreamer of all dreamers. He had creativity, imagination, but he had a team of Imagineers. He had a family of dreamers, even though they doubted him sometimes. He had his brother Roy. And I know Roy doesn't often get as much love, but we all know that there would be no Walt Disney without his brother Roy. And those who believed in the vision, who were inspired by Walt and got behind Walt Disney. He knew that he was not able to do what he did if it wasn't for those people around him. I want you to know that you too, you need pals, those friends. You need people who will hold you accountable, who will encourage you and remind you of your magic when you forget, because I think we all forget from time to time. They don't do the work for you, but they walk with you. Those are the real ones. Those are the ones encouraging you. Remember how I said earlier that you need to be one to be your biggest cheerleader? Yes, it's true. However, you also have the few who are there by your side, the real ones, the ones who aren't just with you only when you get to the finish line, but the ones who are with you through thick and thin. It's so important. And the bottom line is that you're a reflection of the people you associate with. So if you associate with people who elevate you, guess what's going to happen? They're going to elevate your magic. And those are the people you want in your life. And one of the reasons why I love this Disney community that I get to be part of on social media is because, like, you find your people. You find your Disney adults who make life sweeter and better. We all need those people in our lives. And let's be real. You got some people in your life that drain you, that drain your magic, right? That just disrupt your flow of pixie dust. And sometimes maybe the hardest decision, but perhaps even the best, is to say bye and to let go of some of those people who are holding you back from living the magic. I know it's hard. It's not easy, but maybe that's part of the process, right? To get to the finish line. Ooh, yeah. I want you to know it's part of the reason why I'm building a community of dreamers like you, right? We're people who want to create their happiest place on earth, their own happiest place on earth, a space where we can belong and we can grow together and encourage each other and keep each other consistent. So I'm going to be sharing some more on that online community soon. But I want you to know this. You were never meant to chase your dreams alone. So let's bring it all home. We're going to wrap it all up, right? Part 1, 2, 3. And this part 3, thank you for joining me, of being dangerously consistent like Walt, is all about falling in love with the process. Don't just fix your eyes on the castle, which is easy to do because you walk down Main Street and the first thing you look up and you see the castle. But remember, there's so much other stuff before you get to the castle that it took to make the castle happen. You're walking on all that hard work and dedication and the commitment and the consistency to make that castle possible. So remember that. Fall in love with laying the bricks. Don't just dream of the fireworks. Fall in love with the matches it takes to light them. Your dream isn't built in a single moment of magic. I know that's what sometimes we're made to believe, but you know better, and I do too. It's built in those small, kind of daily, consistent habits, the ordinary days that add up to something extraordinary, just like you. I thank you so much for taking time to be with me today and to share this moment. If this inspired and encouraged you, please share this with a friend. If you've not done so already, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a review wherever you listen to this podcast. I appreciate you so very much. And as always, keep dreaming, keep believing, and remember, you are the magic, because the magic is in you.